Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Paintivity, and today, as usual, for now anyway, I'm continuing the princess phenomenon, or Cinderella phenomenon. You know what I'm saying, Cinderella phenomenon. We're at the point where Rod is kind of calling the shots, so we're running after him after almost falling over with some decorations for the ball. So we're gonna figure out what exactly is going on, because he told her to hurry up, and here we are. So she's like, Rod, wait. He picks up his pace as if trying to lose me. I turn the corner and barely stop myself before running right into Rod's back. What now? Why are you so angry at me today? I've barely even spoken to you. Your mere presence is enough to darken my mood. I glare at him and cross my arms. Funny, you call me cruel, but right now you're worse than I ever was. I don't need someone who hasn't even managed a single good deed to lecture me. I have to try very hard to resist the urge to slap him. You were supposed to help me get a good deed. As I said before, I never agreed to this. I still refuse to help you. Rod starts walking again, and I hurry after him. I can't help but recall how cold he was with Viorica earlier. And he was mad at her, I guess, for just being at the palace. I don't know. I thought they were friends, but he treated her like this at the toy shop, too. Why were you so angry with Viorica earlier? No reason. I raise an eyebrow when Rod quickly answers the question. Then you were cold for no reason. You have such a princely disposition. Rod frowns, but has no rebuttal for my words. You must be generally cold and unfriendly. Excuse me? That would explain why you treated Viorica as you did. I had thought that you two were childhood friends. Viorica was always closer with EMELAIGNE than with me. We may have been friendly once, but we've since become distant. Distant? It's none of your business. I pause as we pass by my door, remembering that I left both the fabrics and Delora inside. I make my way toward the door and open it. What are you doing? None of your business. Enjoy your field trip? I frown when I see her sitting on my bed in human form. What would you have done if it wasn't me? Us witches have a sense for these things. Delora? Rod slowly enters the room. It's nice to see you here, Lady Delora. Nice to see you too, little Sebby. Why are you here? Delora shrugs as she inspects her nails. I thought I would help the princess here since someone doesn't seem very willing. Rod furrows his eyebrows at her. I didn't... Yeah, I know. You didn't sign up for this. But do you really think you have a choice, Rod? Delora looks at Rod pointedly. You know the consequences if it fails. Rod looks away, expression conflicted. Consequences? What are you talking about? Consequences for not helping me with my curse? Rod sighs heavily before turning back to Delora. He does not pay attention to me. I'm not the right person for this. Doesn't matter what you think. The princess thought you were, so suck it up and do your job. Rod's silent for a few moments before he finally faces me, looking resigned. I will help you then, but don't expect me to change my opinions of you. I shrug at him. It's not like I was expecting you to in the first place. Delora grins with clear triumph. Good talk. Rod sighs. In order to achieve your good deeds, you're going to need to mend what you broke before. I feel I already know what he's going to say. My sister's always wanted to be your friend, so you must do just that. Show her kindness and you may be able to get your first good deed through her. Show her kindness, huh? So here we are. Delora decides to stay in my room for the time being, saying that she believes Rod will be able to help me for now. Later, I make my way to the dining room with the fabrics and see EMELAIGNE and Ophelia inside. Paintivity! I see you have the fabric, thank you. Ophelia takes the topmost sample of fabric and begins to inspect it as EMELAIGNE walks up to me. Where's Rod? He returned to his studies. Oh, right, he has history lessons today, and I'm yet to finish my history homework, which is due tomorrow. As EMELAIGNE muses aloud, I ponder what Rod told me earlier. I must become EMELAIGNE's friend, but is that really a good deed? I hope Rod didn't send the servants out before he went back to his room. I wanted to tell him that Viorica and I had already called on guards to bring the boxes inside. Maybe he decided to start his lessons earlier so that he could make your dance lesson this evening. Dance lesson? Father wanted to hire the best dance instructor in Angeal, but I honestly feel more comfortable with Rod teaching me. He's a good dancer, so Father has allowed it. That's a surprise. I didn't know Rod could dance. He used to prefer singing, but then... Ophelia trails off. I know that she's talking about the fairy tale curse, but I do not expect her to divulge such information to a maid like myself. He's decided to focus on his dancing for the past few months. Ophelia glances down at the fabrics, then looks up and smiles at me. Would you mind helping me with this? I obediently walk over to the fabrics Ophelia wants me to look through. They're apparently samples for the tablecloth that will be used during the ball. This is going to be a long day. So she's still not happy with her position, but she's getting better. Rod comes immediately to the throne room after his history lessons to start on his dance lessons with EMELAIGNE. I'm only standing here because it's my responsibility as her personal maid to watch over her as she practices. I watch as she steps out of rhythm and Rod sighs at her. You're doing it wrong. That's the 10th time. Sorry. Again. They start from the beginning and I'm unable to stifle my own sigh when EMELAIGNE messes up the same step again. This would make the 11th time. I really am terrible at this. Would you rather have the royal dance instructor teach you? He has more experience teaching than I do. Oh no, I really do want you to teach me, Rod. I'm sorry I'm such a slow learner. You were always good at everything. Singing, dancing, cooking. Prince Rod cooks? Yes, Rod does cook. He's very good at it. You didn't have to tell her that, Em. Does it really matter? I love bragging about how talented my little brother is. I see a tinge of pink in Rod's cheeks as he turns away. Is he embarrassed? EMELAIGNE looks down at the floor, her smile taller. I wish I was as talented as you, Rod. I had always thought EMELAIGNE was overly optimistic. She always seemed to bounce back with a smile no matter how many times I pushed her away. Now I can't help but reconsider that thought. Still seeing her like this only irritates me. Pitying yourself will get you nowhere. Not everyone can be perfect at everything when they first start out. I remember when Mother gave me similar lessons. She was always such a harsh teacher, and she hated when I showed weakness in front of her. She made me keep practicing until I had perfected whatever it was she wanted me to do. Failure was never an option. I never had time for self-pity. Instead of feeling sorry for yourself, try harder. Let failure inspire you to do better. That wasn't really a bad message, but it wasn't great. Creativity, that was... She's right, Rod. Instead of complaining, I should be working harder. I let out an exasperated sigh and crossed my arms. You always look at your feet whenever you reach the underarm turn. Instead, focus on counting your steps and let Prince Rod lead you. Worrying too much on your next step is what puts you off rhythm. EMELAIGNE stares at me. Can you dance, Creativity? I can. Why? Wow, that's amazing. There's nothing amazing about my being able to dance. Her praise makes me embarrassed regardless. Maybe I could learn faster seeing someone else do the dance first. Oh, it's gonna be interesting. What are you talking about? It might be easier to copy the steps if I can have someone perform them first. She turns to me suddenly, eyes bright. Would you help me? I am meant to assist EMELAIGNE in any way that I can, but dancing with her brother? Surely a lowly maid should not be doing this. We'll do it for her, because we want to be good to her. Well, if I do accept, at least I can prove that I'm a better dancer than Rod. Besides, I'm supposed to be listening to EMELAIGNE no matter how absurd her requests are, if that's what you want. Really? EMELAIGNE rushes up to me and takes my hand in hers. Thank you. I thought it might be an awkward request, but I'm so happy you've agreed to this. I turn to look at Rod, who's glowering at me. I am not dancing with her. She might step on my feet. EMELAIGNE gives him a disapproving look. Rod, please? Rod eyes me warily. I step toward him and offer my hand. Shall we? Rod scowls at me for a few moments before finally taking my hand. This is so funny. Because you already know she knows how to dance, like she's prepared for this. I put my hand on his shoulder and he places his hand on the small of my back. Rod looks at me quickly but averts his gaze. Is something wrong? I didn't think I would ever have to dance with you is all. Neither did I. Rod looks at me again. This time he has an uncomfortable scowl on his face. He's not the only uncomfortable one here. We both start dancing and I mentally start counting the steps. It's been a long time since I last danced with anyone, but the steps come to me naturally. The dance is rather simple. While Rod and I move stiffly, I can't help but notice his careful footwork. I realize that Rod really is a pretty decent dancer. Of course, I would never openly admit that. When we stop, I hear EMELAIGNE clapping her hands as she looks at the both of us in awe. You really are a good dancer. Thank you so much for showing me the steps. Now I know for sure what to do during that part. I just shrug at her before stepping back into the corner. EMELAIGNE takes her position in front of Rod once more. This time, she has a bright smile on her face. Can't believe something as simple as that has made her so happy. At the end of the day, Emmeline's managed to do the steps correctly. She tells me many times how grateful she is for the help. After practice, I return to my room and retire to bed. I think about how happy Emmeline was. How can such small things make a person so happy? Well, at least she's learning something. Back to Dream World. You stepped out of rhythm again, Paintivity. But Mother, this is really hard. A princess never complains. You must perfect this waltz by tomorrow. Otherwise, I will not allow you to play with your dolls for the day. But if you have time for objections, you have time to push yourself harder. Now, once again from the top. Ooh. Interesting little page break there. The following days are uneventful. Emmeline continues her dance lessons with Rod. Her steps are still far from perfect, but I can tell that she's improved since my demonstration. Meanwhile, Rod still chooses to ignore me most of the time, though I've noticed that he is less cold than usual. At least he does not snap at me for no good reason anymore. Though Delora is no longer assisting me, she insists on staying in my room more often. She says that there's something important she wants to investigate, and I can't even guess what it might be. I prefer not having her around anyway. Her constant chattering makes it difficult to focus on anything. My guess is she's investigating that Mithros guy. I got a feeling he's like I don't know, is it technically a witch? Warlock? Something like that? But he's bad. Right now I'm still trying to figure out how I can achieve my first good deed. Almost 3 months have passed since I was first cursed, but I have yet to complete my first good deed. Those are my thoughts as I head back to my sleeping quarters after dinner that night. Emmeline excused me long ago, insisting that I go on to my own room before she went to hers. I'm walking down the hallway when I notice Rod heading down a familiar path. I follow after him. Are you going to the march-in? Rod jumps and turns around. The surprise in his face quickly fades into annoyance. Don't do that again. And no, not today. Since I came here, I found out that Rod occasionally sneaks out of the palace at night through the secret passageway to go to the march-in. Even now, I'm still confused as to why he goes there. He said before that he had given up on breaking his curse, which makes me wonder why he still visits. It also makes me wonder why he would refuse to break his curse in the first place. Is he okay being the way he is, or is his curse just really difficult to break? Why were you cursed, Rod? I'm not answering that question. Why? I can't help you break your curse if you refuse to tell me anything. I told you before that I don't need your help. But I chose you as my partner. You help me, and I help you. It's highly likely that breaking Rod's curse will also count for a good deed. Rod scowls at me and crosses his arms. I'm afraid that this isn't how this works at all. The sound of footsteps keeps me from coming back with a retort. We both turn to see Sir Alcaster approaching us. Oh, it's that guy. Prince Rod, good evening. Good evening, Sir Alcaster. Sir Alcaster turns to me and raises an eyebrow. Shouldn't you be attending to Princess Emmeline? Rod silences me with a look. He moves to stand in front of me, shielding me from Sir Alcaster's gaze. We were just about to go to her. Let's go, Paintivity. Rod strides away, and I quickly curtsy to Sir Alcaster before following after Rod. I can still feel Sir Alcaster's eyes on my back as I walk away. I try my best to suppress a shudder. Rod and I walk through the hallway in silence. We both stop in our tracks when we hear the clattering of silverware. I look around and realize that the sound has come from behind a set of doors that is slightly open. The dining hall? Oh no. That's Emmeline's voice. We do not see Emmeline when we enter the room, but there's a dizzying array of cutlery set out on the table. Emmeline? Emmeline surprises us both by crawling out from beneath the table. She flashes us an embarrassed smile as she gets to her feet, holding several forks and knives in her hands. What are you doing here? You should be getting ready for bed. Sorry. I eye the silverware on the table. I thought I could practice before I sleep today. It has already been an incredibly long day for her, and she's still doing this? I watch as Emmeline puts the cutlery back on the table in the wrong places. You need to rest, Em. I will after I practice the placement one last time. She smiles at him before returning to the table. I don't know why a person would need so much cutlery. 1 fork, 1 spoon, 1 knife should be more than enough for any meal. And all these glasses, if I recall correctly, this one's for water, this one's for red wine, and this one is for white wine. I don't know if giving her the correct answers would... I'm going to point it out. She can't remember something so basic. Wrong. What? I point at each of the glasses as I name them in turn. Champagne, sherry, dessert wine, and juice. It's basic etiquette to know all of them. Emmeline looks down at the glasses, flustered. You don't have to be so blunt, Paintivity. She's right, though. It's my fault for always forgetting. You know so much about etiquette, too. You're really incredible, Paintivity. You make a better noble woman than I do. Even if I told her I was a noble, it's not as if she would believe me. I just read a lot about these things. You read and know enough to put them into practice? That's amazing. Especially since you haven't even been with us so long, right, Rod? Rod shrugs. He does not, much to my surprise, disagree. Perhaps you should be my teacher, Paintivity. I can learn so quickly from you. Emmeline quickly straightens out the cutlery. Now that I think about it, I have come to realize that Emmeline is much more than she appeared to be. It's probably because I'm forced to spend so much time with her as a maid. She's different, she's flawed, and not as conceited and more humble than I had originally thought. Maybe I should try lending her a hand. I may not be one of your tutors, but if you need help with your lessons, just ask me and I'll do what I can for you. Paintivity? I glance at Rod, who is once again wearing that expression of surprise. I shift my attention to Emmeline once again. You only have 1 month left to prepare, and as your personal maid, I feel it my responsibility to help you in whatever ways I can. Paintivity. Emmeline wipes her eyes with the back of her hand, and that's when I notice something glistening on her cheeks. Is she crying? You're extremely kind, Paintivity. Thank you. I will definitely take you up on that offer. I'm still looking at Emmeline when I catch a faint glow coming from the pendant on my chest. Oh, maybe we did something good. What just happened? Oh, what a pretty necklace you have. Thank you. Anyway, for now, I think both of us would benefit from some sleep. After escorting Emmeline back to her room, I walk out into the hallway in a daze. What was that light? It seems like you actually managed to obtain your first good deed. I did not know he was still there. I look down at my pendant, astonished at what I see. Okay. A piece of the glass slipper? I gingerly touch the new piece that's hanging next to my existing glass slipper pendant. It is real. You're not too bad after all. Did he just compliment me? What? Rod turns away. Nothing. He walks away, leaving me alone with my thoughts. Chapter 5, called Secrets. And I'll make it easier this time. I will stop right there, just so it's easier. We'll know exactly it's chapter 5, and we'll be back at it. So, she did her first good deed, yay! And it was all just because, you know, Rod planted that seed in her mind that she needed to fix what she had broken. So, there is that. I'll get back at it as soon as I can. I feel like we have a long way to go, but I think the choices you make have a lot to do with it as well. So, yeah, I will see you guys next time. If you like it, let me know. If you have something to say, put it below. And as always, thank you for joining the universe. See you guys later. Bye.
Very nice. Uh-oh, wait a minute. There's something written on the back here. Hold on. She's mine failure. Failure. Is that person calling me a failure? Alright. Okay. Oh, I get it. Bam. And then bam. And then...